Hello, Natasha.
Hello, Damien.
It's the Lowbrow Lowdown.
All right, let's get into it.
Hello.
Hello.
Welcome. It's episode 6 of the Lowbrow Lowdown, where we are reading pandemic-themed I'm going to start again. It's episode 6 of the Lowbrow Lowdown, where we are reading pandemic-themed literature so you don't have to.
Yep. And we sometimes regret that. But you'd regret it more if you had to read it. So
yeah, look,
it's our cross to bear. We love it.
It is. I do feel like some of these authors are probably going to become a bit litigious when they're like, stop telling people not to read our books. So like, you can read them. We're not stopping you.
We're not stopping anyone from reading these books.
These are just recaps to build their profile and tell people that they're out there.
Correct. Yeah. All right. So should we get into the book that we're reading about talking about tonight? So it's called Courting the Coronavirus. I'm going to do the whole Amazon blurb. Courting the Coronavirus, a positively viral love story. So it was her fault the virus got sent back to the 19th century in the first place. Now the only way to get close enough to destroy it again is to court it. The only problem with that, she might be falling for it. Joan was never supposed to be working in a virus lab to begin with, so when she accidentally sends the virus hurtling through space and time, it's up to her to go get it back. Finding the virus is in the past isn't going to be the hard part. However, it's getting close to it without getting too close. It's a short, steamy erotica with a viral twist.
Look, what I'll say is they've kind of got a shtick and they're sticking to it. Like there's a lot of mentions of viral loads and all sorts of things, which I think this author, just judging by the caliber of their knowledge of science, doesn't understand the potential
anything.
Yeah.
Just anything.
Look, viral load and sex, we shouldn't be mixing those two things together in discussion. I guess undetectable equals untransmittable needs to be said. This is not about that, but whatever. We are introduced to Joan, and I think for one of the first times in one of these kind of busty lady having sex with a virus books, we find out her name. Like
straight away. It's amazing.
But the introduction to Joan is that she is wearing a hazmat suit.
Yeah, carrying
a plastic vial test tube.
Plastic vial
of coronavirus.
The only sample of the coronavirus.
Because every refrigerator in the university where she is an undergraduate student has gone out, and so she is responsible.
Storing it in her dorm.
Yes, every refrigerator but hers.
Yes.
And everyone else is out partying. While she is wearing full hazmat, carrying this vial past people who are not protected.
Yes.
I don't understand.
Well, I mean, there's something to that. It's why is this vial the only COVID sample in the entire generic Ivy League colleague that she's at? It doesn't marry with the idea that she's in a head-to-toe hazmat suit, seemingly to protect herself from the virus. Couldn't they just go and get another sample from everywhere around them?
But also, these people... no one else is in a hazmat suit.
No one's in a hazmat suit.
When she drops the virus, she strips the hazmat suit. This makes no sense.
There's a lot of shoddy science. Well, a lot of PPE misuse.
But we are introduced to a very unkind portrayal of Joan. Yeah. She's at this university that she is Ivy League college that she doesn't know how she got into, She doesn't seem interested in studying science.
She seems so uninterested in studying. She's enrolled in some lab course, and again, a very generic name for what she's actually studying. She's enrolled in some lab course, but seems to not know why she's there.
Yes, and most importantly, undergraduate students are doing
COVID research,
like life-saving vaccine research.
We don't even know what the research is. It's just a virus lab.
It's just a virus lab. With some other things in it. We are to find out.
Oh my God. Some of those other things are fantastic and extremely improbable. I mean, in addition to, everything else in the book.
I don't know if the character has brought this upon herself in being so quite sort of
hostile to education
and also just unaware of her surroundings or not caring about them.
I think it's not caring. She doesn't seem to care.
Yeah, and everyone treats her like an idiot.
Oh, that was in my notes. I thought she's just this idiot that doesn't seem to belong. Or one, she feels like she doesn't belong. Two, she thinks her colleagues think she doesn't belong. But one of the ways that she thinks that would remove those doubts about belonging, it was if she were taken by her professor in view of everyone.
Yes, with his giant dick that she can see through his trousers. This isn't my excerpt, but it is a line that I just have to read out. So weak in the knees, in fact, that they gave out entirely. After all, Joan, like all women, was prone to tripping.
Look, as a woman who is prone to tripping, feeling really slighted now.
Which is like all women.
No, not all women trip over. Some do, yes, but it's not something that's inherently female.
It's just a strange thing to say.
It's a strange thing to say, yeah.
And like this whole thing, it is a conglomerate of random statements that don't always go together either.
No.
There are points where she's talking about things and I'm just like, what is going on here?
All right. So in terms of, we're introduced to Joan after she walks across, she's carrying this vial of COVID across campus past all of these hot guys. Can I read out?
Oh, yes.
This is not my excerpt, but I just have to read out this. She's feeling really shitty because she's having to look at the hole out the front of her stifling hazmat suit at the hot, shirtless guys guzzling crystal light, I don't know what that is, and vodka, like cum, in front of everyone, and she just wasn't invited.
I mean, if they're guzzling it like cum, I don't think they're interested in her. No. Crystal Light, I think, and I don't know for sure, but I think it's like American Passion Pop.
Oh, okay. Yeah, perhaps.
We have American listeners. Passion Pop is Australian Crystal Light, I guess.
I don't know. Is it a bubbly champagne? I read it and I thought, oh, maybe it's like a vodka cruiser.
I often see like American tweeny things and they talk about it, and they talk about it the way we talk about Passion Pop. So even if it's not the same thing, I think it's the same kind of principle of like cheap shit alcohol.
Terrible.
Alcohol, yeah.
Bubbly something.
Yeah.
All right.
Well, look, she trips over, as women are prone to do.
As women are prone to do.
And she drops the vial of coronavirus, which flies towards some kind of machine that is not really well described.
No.
And she immediately strips off the hazmat suit for God knows what reason, like to protect herself from the coronavirus that she just released into the room that the hazmat suit was protecting.
That's the thing about hazmat suits. They keep contamination out. So if there's contamination, you'd want to keep that suit on.
You would think.
But she's a fucking idiot. So.
Except that her professor's like, good that you got out of that suit so quickly.
Yeah.
So he's an idiot too.
I did like that she checked out a reflection in the vending machine. Sorry, I just have to. A vending machine was being installed, and to replace an eye wash station that was just being taken away.
What happens if they get something in their eye?
Oh, who cares about health and safety? Again, yeah.
So the vial flies forward and into some kind of machine, which she is then informed, like she's an idiot, for not knowing that it's a time machine.
But no, wasn't it also a hadron collider?
It was a hadron collider, which I think is their version of a hadron collider.
Yeah. No. Oh, wait, no, I got it wrong. It was hadron collider.
Oh, no, later it's hadron.
Oh, okay, right. Oh, dear. Aren't they enormous?
Yes, they are. They are very large.
Anyway, so there's this smaller than normal hadron collider.
So small
that is actually
that only she and her sexily petite body could fit through the hadron collider.
Yeah.
And the COVID goes through there, and she discovers that it has been sent back to the 19th century.
Yes. Extremely plausible.
She starts referring to her professor as her lab partner for some reason. I don't know why.
No. There was a lab partner floating about, but he was unnamed and unattractive. So
no,
just
the skinny, scrawny man was a man she'd never seen before. She's like, who she'd never noticed before this moment that he spoke.
Oh, probably because he was a super scrawny guy with lanky, weird arms and legs. Just stepped out from behind a table.
Yeah. But she says she could practically hear her lab partner's thoughts. What's this WAP doing here? This hoe ain't fit to work here. What a thought she shouldn't be here in this lab. What?
None of that makes sense. I mean, none of it makes sense.
I am aware of what those words mean.
Oh, yeah. No, I'm not talking about what the words are, but why would they think this about her? She calls herself a whore repeatedly throughout the book.
Which, that's...
whatever. That's
that's
all
some
power
people,
to her.
That's how they kind of express and empower themselves, and I think that's awesome.
But she thinks that everyone else is calling her the same, not the same, but calling her sexualized names as well, and treating her like an idiot because of that. But we're not really given any indication that that's true.
It's really hard to tell where this is coming from. Maybe it's all in her head. Maybe people do think she's an idiot. Maybe it's a bit of both. Maybe she
is an idiot.
Yeah, it's very...
It's disappointingly flat.
It's that...
She is a disappointingly flat character.
It's like they've just written her as a vessel to kind of... for the sex to happen.
Yes.
Yeah.
That's perfect. So she wanders into... No, she slides into the Hadron
machine.
Particle Collider / time machine. Which I've in my notes I've just called the orgasm machine.
Oh yeah, because it gives her a cosmic orgasm. On her way in, she notes that the people in the 19th century have probably never heard of vaccines, and I do concede that maybe many people in the 19th century hadn't heard of them. However, vaccines did exist. They were invented at the end of the 18th century. I Googled that. I didn't just know that off the top of my head, but you would think somebody working in a COVID lab would probably have some concept of when vaccines came
an
out.
Understanding of, I think it wasn't it smallpox?
And they used cowpox. It was that whole thing.
So, vaccines were not a new thing, but anyway.
I had misremembered that it was Louis Pasteur. It was not. Just in my head, I was like, it was Louis Pasteur. No. Pasteurization.
That's right, yeah.
It's just they both had something to do with cows.
So she wakes up back in her own body again in a haystack.
Yes.
And which he knew was a haystack because she had once. Oh, I don't know.
She shagged someone in a haystack. They're always fucking farmers' sons.
Yes.
Yeah.
And she'd wanted to check that she'd arrived in one piece. So the first thing she did was stick her fingers up her skirt to check that her vagina was still there. Like, okay, yeah. Of all the things to think might not come through with you through the orgasm machine. I don't know what it's called. The time machine.
Yeah. The time/orgasm/hadron collider machine. She meets a farmer and he's like, oh, not again. So she knows she's in the right place. But he points out that something happened to the coronavirus as it was traveling through this vortex of orgasm, and it emerged as Count COVID. And this is where my excerpt is.
Okay, I'll let you.
A gigantic manor house sat at the top of the hill, so huge that it disappeared on the edge of the horizon in either direction. Right. He calls himself Count COVID. If Joan wasn't afraid of accidentally inhaling too much viral load, she would have gasped in horror. Count COVID, it couldn't be, but it had to be.
What else could it be?
Her unnamed and unattractive old co-worker in the future had warned her something like this might happen. Well, not exactly something like this, but something unexpected might. And this was certainly unexpected. The farmer had been rambling on and on for some time, but Joan wasn't interested in anything else he had to say. Soon he would have finished serving his purpose, and she knew she'd never see or hear from him again. He was just a side character after all. And I think, like, I really was only reading that earlier bit as, like, context. Her whole attitude to everything is this, like, he's still talking? Oh, no, this is on me. I'm the main character. And it makes me think of, did you see there was a video doing the rounds of these, like, 18-year-olds on their balcony drunk at 6 a.m. in New York, like, yelling out to the world about how amazing New York is, and then getting absolutely shouted down by New Yorkers. And all these people were commenting, these people think they're the main character.
I have seen that phrase, and I think that's excellent.
Yes.
And it's she's narrating her own life.
Yeah, she's sort of going, oh, this is my moment. Everyone's going to, it's like, like the just tedious energy that you have is just awful.
It's that, and that thing about it's my moment. It's a very snapshot in time, and that kind of reflects, I think, also how we receive entertainment. Like TikTok videos, they're really short. They're a moment. They're someone's moment of shining. I think it does reflect that modern or contemporary.
It's on two fronts, because there are those snapshot moments, but there is also this thing that long-form content is really strongly rewarded, especially on something like YouTube. And that's why you get these people who sit down and they go, oh, I've got to tell you about this thing, I'm fighting with so-and-so. And it, like, then they're like, oh, but first I've got to tell you about, how right now I'm really tired because da-da-da. And you're sitting there going, just get to the fucking point. But they all think they're so interesting. And I sound like an old person, but...
Oh my God, if you're old, what am I?
But every time I click on it, I like get a few minutes in, I just start skipping, just going, you need a time signature for when you get to the fucking point.
Yes.
And
yes.
That's kind of the energy I get from this, is she's like...
She's just waiting for the good bits to...
Well, she's just like so in herself that she thinks everything she does is interesting.
Yeah.
And that's... Look, this is not on Joan. This is on whoever wrote this.
Oh, absolutely. Joan just...
I hated her the whole way through. I was like,
she's
God.
so arrogant, and no, you're right. It is that thing about everything she does is interesting when it really isn't. It's just
the most interesting thing that she was doing, which was storing COVID in her dorm refrigerator.
I wanted more about that.
Yeah, like, and she's like, "Oh, this isn't interesting because it's not about me." I was like, "Oh, for fuck's sake!"
Well, actually, this is kind of where we get to my excerpt. Oh. Her, Joan's arrogance and hubris. So she had convinced this farmer to sell everything he owned. So Count COVID apparently hosts a masquerade ball, mask, get it, lol, a masquerade ball, and she says, I have to get to that in order to be able to confront him or to destroy him or whatever her point was. And so she convinced this farmer to sell everything he had so that she could buy a dress to go to the ball. So it sounds like extortionate Cinderella. And the dress sounded amazing. But
did it? Like, she didn't describe it, did she?
Yeah. Made of the finest silks and most delicate lace, cascaded around in yards and yards of shimmering green fabric, meant to attract the eye of the Count himself, since he was green himself.
Oh, yeah, he's green.
So, no, my excerpt is she, just before she was going into the ball, she only paused to think about what she was doing, whether it was the right thing. She had to do this, no matter what it took, even if it meant bankrupting 1,000 farmers, even it meant attending 1,000,000 balls, eating a bajillion fresh oysters, or dancing with 1,000,000 handsome and fabulously wealthy men. This was her burden to bear. So she took one deep lavender and lilac-scented breath and plunged into the merriment that beset her on the other side, only to be stopped immediately by the sight of him, Count COVID. So...
God, she's a selfish idiot.
She's a selfish idiot. But also, coming back to... Look, even if she's wrong about her thoughts about the 19th century not knowing what vaccines are, they mightn't also have known what bacteria was. She does. Why would you eat oysters anywhere in the countryside, wherever they are? There's no indication that the sea is nearby. I would not be eating oysters.
Yeah, it's that don't eat fish too far from the sea.
No, exactly.
I remember once on a road trip, a friend of mine getting fish at the Holbrook pub. And being
where's that?
It's so far inland.
Violently ill. What a shock.
Violently ill. It was like, and it looked painful. It's just, so far. It does have a submarine, but it's just like there is a submarine that served in some war. I don't know if it's a real one or if it's a replica, but there's
is it in Victoria or?
It was on our way to Canberra from Melbourne.
Oh, God. So it's miles away from anywhere. Yeah. Sorry. Anyone in between Melbourne and Canberra.
Sorry. Hey, I grew up between Melbourne and Canberra, kind of.
I've lived in similar places.
Yeah. Just not the type of place you order some fish.
No, God, no.
Although none of us warned them. I feel very bad about that. Because the rest of us in the group all grew up away from the sea and knew we're like, oh no. But we're just like, okay.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, what are the fish? Just not thinking that this person had not grown up away from the sea.
Oh, no.
Yeah. But I digress.
Yeah. So she's having, fun in the masquerade ball.
She is, so catches his eyes, they lock eyes, and they do not break that gaze. But she does dance with a whole bunch of people in some kind of rotating
that she knew
Pride
the
of Erin
steps
kind
to.
of
instinctively knew the steps to. Okay, so the time machine somehow gave her the knowledge, perhaps on the way through.
Or maybe she should be studying dance and not whatever science she is studying. But yeah, she didn't break eye contact with him, nor did he with her, as they like spun around. So I assume their heads
swiveling. Sounds very uncomfortable and awkward for anyone talking to this.
Also for her dance partners who are like, just focus. I do like to think that maybe she's like, I instantly knew the steps to it, and everyone else is like, this fucking bitch has no idea what she's doing. She's just confidently stomping on everyone's feet.
Yeah. She thinks this again. She thinks she knows.
I instinctively knew the steps, but actually,
and
there's
no
this
one is impolite enough to tell her that she's just dancing around like a toddler.
There's a beautiful sort of scene from a Jane Austen film, and then she's in the middle, just like jumping up and down. Going, I've done it perfectly.
Genius. So they're staring at each other, and she's falling in love. Or no, sorry, they're sensually eye fucking, and she. Oh no, their eye contact is broken by a guard
gets in the way.
A guard gets in the way, and she's all flustered, and oh my goodness!
Yeah, it's like the spell is broken. She goes, "I have to get outside."
Yeah, she stops queefing.
Oh my God, we forgot the queef. So she arrives at the ball, sees how big his dick is from across the room through his pants, and then queefs.
A lot.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm sorry. I'm such a child, but like, what?
I mean, but that's not a silent. She's like making these farty noises as she's wandering around.
Just like.
Yeah, that's so she's really making an amazing impression to those hicks in the 19th century.
Yeah.
All right.
She sees so she's on the balcony and Count COVID is there. And
sorry. Oh yeah, he's there. How does she know he's there? She heard a cough behind her. Dry, wheezing cough.
Yes.
So, okay, yeah, it is COVID because he's got COVID.
Is he dying?
Of his own disease.
It's so weird. There's this confrontation, for lack of a better term, where she puts up the feeblest of resistance and is like, I have to kill you. No, I don't. And she's like, I don't know. It was so ridiculous.
It was so ridiculous, as was her taking off her mask, exposing herself and her face to COVID. But he tells her that it wasn't doing her any good anyway because it wasn't covering her mouth or her nose. It's like,
the whole thing was just bonkers.
So very bonkers.
And in this like sort of tete-a-tete that they're having.
One thing I do note, he asks her if they've met before, but then tells her later that he knew who she was.
Oh, yeah.
And that 10 years ago, when he first arrived in the 19th century as a green man, he'd created this whole kingdom to wait for her.
Yes. It makes no sense. Like it.
How did he know she'd be coming?
Well, yeah. Also, was he sentient when he was in his viral form in the test tube?
I wouldn't have assumed that he was, but anything's possible with this science.
This is. I can't believe I'm saying this. This is the worst science so far.
Oh, it really. I mean, none of them have been amazing, but this really is just so lazy.
All of the other science made some sense in the world that it existed in. This, not so.
No.
Look, his dick is so big that it doesn't fit in her mouth, yet somehow she takes the whole thing down her throat. Look, it was very gross.
I felt really uncomfortable with this.
Yeah.
And I mean, maybe it's erotica in general. I don't know. This idea. Oh, look. Maybe I won't finish that sentence.
The thing is that it's not interesting or creative sex. And I was in a kind of seminar yesterday with a writer who's a quite prolific writer. They've published probably like 20 books and very popular in the US. And we got on the subject of writing sex scenes, and her response was, she goes, look, I don't love writing them, and I only ever write them if they're kind of pertinent to the story. And she said, I will avoid writing what goes where as much as possible and focus on what people are feeling. And she said, interesting. And that kind of made me go, well, that's probably more interesting.
Far more interesting. And I have had a conversation with an editor of, let's say, romantic fiction, and she says in order for her when she's reading sex scenes, she has not mannequins, little people, those artist dolls with
joint like the ones
limbs.
at IKEA.
Yeah. She has a couple of those on her desk, so that she puts them into the positions that are being described to try and make sense of them, of the scenes. Because
I would be
if it's so unbelievably wrong, it's going to read wrong, and people are going to be, just unhappy.
Does she just photograph them and send them to the writer and go, this is what they're doing right now. You need to change this.
So,
how would she go with, is that a hot dog?
I should send it to her and ask her, just tell us what you think, honestly. But no, I think, this idea that size is the only thing and the bigger the better, when physically, she can't fit this thing in her mouth and it sounds like it will just break her innards. It's like, that's not sexy as a reader. I just felt uncomfortable.
They're
and it's not even about the sex. It's just about the physical description. It's like, oh, this is just not erotic at all. I mean,
it's not. And it would be more interesting if there was some more kind of something less that's just like describing where things go, and a bit more like, what does this feel like? What is it? What is the emotion you're experiencing? Are we prudes?
I think I'm a prude. I hope not. No, maybe I am. I'm sounding like a prude right now, but I was just this idea of reading descriptions about wet slurpy sounds. It's just not.
But also, the descriptions are becoming so samey.
That's what I was thinking. I think, this book could be.
It could be any of them. It could
be any of them. It could be any story, not even about COVID. And maybe it's the same.
Yeah, it's just and
template.
It's so uninventive and look, MJ Edwards did sort of have this same scene play out, but at least she had a fucking hot dog in there. It just.
I'm thinking out of all of them, hers are the most interesting so far. They are the best because they absolutely lean into the ridiculous.
Yeah, and yes, they've got these giant penises that are dragging across the floor, but also they're kind of quirky and silly, and you kind of read it and it makes you laugh. And this one, I feel like I'm laughing with MJ Edwards, and with Lee Taylor, I feel like I'm laughing at this because it's this is stupid. Sorry, Lee Taylor.
Lee Taylor. Well, I'm not really, to be honest.
But also, go read Kissing the Coronavirus 2, particularly, because it's the best one.
The best one.
And just look at, what's some actual creativity beyond just going, okay, stupid woman drops COVID, turns into thing, has sex with it. I don't know. God, I'm just...
and so just a real, I don't know, I think it was, I don't like, I know we said earlier that Jean refers to herself as a whore,
Jean?
And again,
Jean,
whatever. And she's really fantastic, feeling fantastic because having sex with Count COVID makes her feel like she's it was her first time as a cum dumpster. And does she have no self-respect?
Look, I will say there are people that are really like that's a really big turn on for them.
And yeah, absolutely. And that's not what I'm not saying. But I'm not describing it very well. But
I get what you're saying.
She's telling us that the writer is telling us that Joan is just as you said, a vessel for a sex scene, and a literal vessel for the main event, which is male ejaculation.
Yeah, well, that's right. It's always it's like so often a P&V. Also, Joan, such a nana name.
Oh, very 19th century. So.
Hello, I'm Joan.
I'm Joan. Oh, all right. So they have boringly described sex.
There's so much cum that her body can't contain it. Oh.
She's a cum dumpster. Too many boring descriptions of sex. Sorry, scrolling, and we sort of get to the end of the book, which is...
Oh, yeah. As with all of these books, it's like builds up sex, and that's the end. And you're like,
she didn't destroy him.
No, well, she completely failed in her mission. Although, what I would say is the writer is consistent because I didn't expect her to succeed.
Yeah, this bumbling idiot tripped her way through to the 19th century because she wasn't going anywhere, even if she had any idea how to get back to the 21st century to begin with. So what was the point of her going to destroy the virus?
Also,
or whatever
they sent the virus back in time and they were like, okay, go after it. No, like...
And then what? Just marry it? And... just and have the ultimate frat party for
forever.
What's that thing at the end of fairy tales?
Happily ever after.
Happily ever, and this she's found her happily ever after.
Yeah, I guess it's just I don't
know. I'm hoping our next book makes us laugh a bit more.
Yeah, it's. We sort of after kissing the coronavirus, it's kind of been a bit hit and miss.
It has been a little bit hit and miss. This was not. I mean, it wasn't as bad as the other one that we read, but
no. Look,
although I did like the Chuck Tingle one. That was just so funny. That was funny.
Yeah, he was genuinely funny. And I've like read a few more now, and they're quite. He's quite good. He's got a very funny kind of approach to writing, and it's a bit.
His writing
formulaic.
Isn't terrible.
No, it's not terrible.
Not like this.
Yeah.
All right. So, shall we give ourselves a bit of a? No, sorry, we won't give ourselves a rating. Obviously, 5 out of 5 face masks.
Yeah, we're great.
We'll give this book a rating. I'm going to give it 1 out of 5 face masks. I just found. I don't know. I mean, look, this writer Lee Taylor doesn't seem to like women.
No,
and I'm freaking sick of portrayals of women as dumb idiots.
Also,
with
like
giant tits. Like it's just so boring and predictable.
Even when a woman in the real world is a bit spacey or flighty, she still has redeeming qualities.
She's still a person.
Like everyone has redeeming qualities and is interesting in different ways. And, we exist in a world where like particular traits are valued. And, if you're not smart, you're pretty. And that's just not how the world works. But he just wrote the most I assume Lee Taylor is a man. Who knows?
Oh, see, I assumed it was a woman.
Oh, I don't know. I assume they're all men. I don't know why.
Assuming, look, yeah, there's something to that as well.
But just like gave us no reason to like this character. And as a protagonist, you think you gotta like something about them.
Yeah.
Maybe I could push it to 2 face masks. Like it wasn't the absolute worst thing we've read since we started this.
No, it really wasn't. That was a.
But no, I take
that
your
bar
one
has
face
been
mask.
Reached.
I take your one face mask and totally support that. It was just a bit
meh.
Well, if you want to read this or you just want to tell us what you think, you can email us at lowbrowlowdown@gmail.com, or you can follow us on Twitter at lowbrowlowdown and share your thoughts on courting the coronavirus. And then next week's book. Is it my turn to say what it is?
Yes, it is.
Next week, we are going to be reading Rita, Riley and Rona Anxiety, a Coronavirus by Novella Jean. The titles are often quite hard to work out. This is the longest book we're going to have read.
How many pages is it?
It's like 100 pages long.
Oh, Christ.
I know. So used to them being 7 pages.
No. It's my short form essay. 100 pages. I better start reading it tonight.
Yeah, when I saw that, I was like, I can't read this the day before like I normally do.
Not like all of the others.
Or sometimes we're meeting at 7 o'clock. Hold on, I've got to read the book.
Me tonight. I'd read it yesterday, and I was like, oh shit, I haven't done my notes, so I literally did them between 6:30 and 6:48. All right.
But yes, tell us what you think. We're keen
Please
to
do.
know.
We're really keen to hear from you.
Yeah. Thanks everyone, and thanks Natasha.
Thanks, Damien.
Get vaccinated if you can. Stay safe. Wear a mask. Hopefully lockdown
Do all
will
of
end
the
one
right
day.
things. Yes. Oh, pray for the end of lockdown.
We all do.
But we can go on a pick. I think we might actually be able to meet up in person.
We might because
of the 10K.
Yeah, tomorrow 10Ks and 5.
Tomorrow or end of 11:59 tomorrow.
Oh, it might be 11:59 tomorrow.
Yeah.
I mean, this is going out after that happens, so this is not current advice.
No,
but it's like advice. 5 people who, if you're fully vaccinated,
yes,
can meet for a picnic within 10 kilometers from your home.
I am extremely excited about that.
My lord, I want to have a beer in a park.
Oh God, a beer in a park, Damien. It's a date.
Count it as a date.
It's a date.
Thanks everyone.
Thanks everyone. See you next week.
Bye.